What is up guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a brand new video. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. We are in the studio and we're going to be talking about a place we went 2 years ago.
Back in 2020?
2020. I think it was summertime 2020. We can't exactly remember. This place was passed to me by one of my Instagram followers. We made the journey to this farmhouse and what happened that night, none of us could prepare for. Don't forget, drop a like down below, subscribe if you're new. Hope you enjoyed this video guys. Let's get straight into it. So it was night time when we got there and the building looked very ominous. We could see the silhouette of it in the night sky, and so already there's a lot of creepiness around this place.
So as we arrived, we did have a look around. We looked through the farmyard. The very first building, if I remember rightly, had like lots of old stuff. One thing that stayed in my mind was like a little train thing for children.
Yeah, it was like a little sort of, you know,
little toy thing.
Yeah,
I don't know how it's called. How would you call it?
It was like a sit-on with pedals kind of thing, wasn't it? But it was a very small little wooden train. I'm sure it had pedals on it.
Not sure, but it would be like a push bike, but shaped like a train.
Yeah.
So it had loads of them.
You just done what I was going to do before then.
Put your finger in there so see if it turns. I'll put mine in there, you turns. Also, don't forget, in that first barn, it was like a barn, like a garage barn.
Yeah.
And there was also a car in there.
I remember, but do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was a Fiat, and it was kind of like an old, if you remember the very first Fiat Bravo and Brava, the front was identical on both. It was just the back. One had one big light either side, one had 3 lines. This was an estate, and it looked nothing like either of them at the back. So it's not something I've ever seen before.
That's why it stayed in your mind.
Yeah, it did stay in my mind, but I just don't remember the name of it.
From there, we went to look at other buildings because there was quite a lot of old buildings, wasn't there?
Yeah, just after there, we went sort of to the barns. Down that same little pathway, there was a couple of barns, but really tall ones, full of hay.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, there was a JCB. It was like a load all, I think, in the middle of the yard.
Yeah.
Really old one, and looked like it hadn't moved for about 20 years.
I remember it. Did it have flat tires as well, potentially?
Probably, yeah, probably sun damaged, cracked tires, and sunk into the ground.
Yeah, it didn't look very nice, to be honest.
I mean, the whole place looked like it hadn't been lived in or used for about the last 20 years.
Everything very overgrown,
Yeah.
dirty and dust.
I think the house, the roof wasn't intact on the house, and when you look through the doors and windows, you could see right the way up. I mean, this building, and I say it had really tall ceilings, but it was ridiculously high. Like, the building looked almost not cartoony, but it didn't look real. It looked fake. It was that big. It was like ridiculously big. It was like a normal British council house, but just massive, like 4 or 5 times the size. It was ridiculous.
On the left side of us, there was like loads of buildings, and then on the other side, it looked like more like barns.
Yeah, tall metal barns.
Yeah, and in the middle of that, it was like a mud track where normally would potentially tractor would go there,
Yeah,
or something.
like a passageway for machinery and stuff like that. Maybe cattle to go between there, and as they move in between.
It does make sense, yeah.
It's like a turtle's back.
In one of them barns, we seen lots of hay, And to us, a lot of times, hay is indication of,
Whether somebody uses the land.
yeah,
Going to an old abandoned farm, chances are there's going to be a barn full of stacks of brand new hay, maybe sheep in a pen or something like that, and it's always an indication then that somebody nearby, a farmer close by, is using the property, which does happen quite often, more often than you think.
However, here the hay looked very old. It looked sun damaged, if you if you ask me. Not
Yeah, it lost all its colour, hasn't it? It's gone from being that yellowy,
like
orangey
golden,
hay, yeah, like golden hay colour, to being basically like musky
grey.
yeah, like it just completely discoloured. It looked like that had been there for about 15 years and probably mouldy on the inside as well.
Possibly. Oh, that makes my stomach go upside down thinking about mouldy hay.
Inside that barn, you also had that really old tractor, I noticed. Now, went inside to have a look at it. There was a lot of stuff you had to climb over, old bits of machinery. And then this old tractor was, if I remember, I did some Google research on it, and I think it was like a 60s or 70s model. Really, really old-fashioned one. I forget the name on it, but it was like a John something, you know, like a man's name.
Wasn't something brown? Because we were laughing. I'm more than sure we were laughing about the fact that it was like brownish color as well.
Would have been like John Brown.
Possibly.
That sounds like a politician.
He does. Anyway, whatever the name was, you did some research.
I did some research on it, and it was a really old one. I think there was only like 15 or 20 of that model ever made, and then they made the next model. It was a really, really small company. Might have been local, I'm not entirely sure. I saw one on eBay for sale. It was pretty much the same model, and I think it was going for about £20,000. So yeah, it's quite a rare tractor in all honesty.
If it's only like 15 or 20 made,
Yeah, it's
back
gonna
in the
be-
day, that could be the only one that is still alive.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
You never know. We were saying there's something along them lines, if I remember rightly.
This place is proper scary. He's moved away now, look. There's a tractor in here. Let's go look at the tractor. To be honest, I don't think this hay's moved for a while because it looks like the sun's discoloured it, doesn't it, and everything. I'll just pre-warn you, in a minute now, that tin roof will make a banging sound. Just remember that it's gonna go off something brown. Very old tractor. Oh. How did you get through there?
Yeah. With bad leads. What is he? Talking motorbike.
Yeah, it does look like a motorbike accident.
I'm sure there's a shed down there.
Honda. What not make this is? It says D.A. David Brown.
David Brown?
David Brown. Accelerator cable.
Oh, yeah.
Connected up to the side there.
Oh, look at these teeth. We've all done that with bags when we were kids. This is old, this is.
Well, I always just think about tractors like this. You look at, I know they've got big engines, but you look at these tyres and you think, how do they do the job that tractors do these days?
Yeah. Alright. What was that? That was a thud on the floor, wasn't it?
Was it? So, at this point, we came out of the barns, and I think Sylvia and Craig were still taking photos. You were still around that sort of general area.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking down the far end. I believe it was summer. I can't exactly remember the date, but it wasn't freezing cold. It wasn't hot. It was about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. There was a slight fog in the air, and I'm looking down this long dirt track, as we mentioned earlier. It come to a fence at the far end. I think it sort of veered off like a T-junction, and then there was a fence beyond that. some trees, and then beyond the trees was like a field going uphill, and I could see somebody standing by that tree. I'm 100% sure there was somebody there.
And what happened then? Because I can't remember this. I can only remember afterwards, really.
Thinking back about it, I did sort of shout, and I was like saying just be careful, or I might put my hand and said, oh, be quiet a minute, there's someone there. But I knew they'd seen me because I got my lights on, and everyone got lights on behind me. But I remember kind of thinking, you know, what's going on here, like? And I remember watching, it looked like the person stepped behind the tree, like as if they were hiding. Maybe they were scared that we were farmers. We were thinking what they were doing. Well, I certainly was at the time. I was shining my torch down, but my panel light I had at the time, it's bright, but it's not, you know, overly, like, it's not like a floodlight, whereas Craig's is really bright.
Yeah.
I was thinking with them tire marks, they look pretty fresh. Somebody over there. Somebody over there.
So I came down to you two, and I was saying that there's somebody down there. Obviously we all start getting a bit like, not panicky, but we all start, you know, okay, like, let's see what the situation is, like, what's going on. I tell Craig, I was like, right, shine your light down there, and we'll see if we can see anybody. We'll approach them if they're just people, you know, we just need to find out first. Because I was sure I'd seen somebody, but I didn't see anybody after. I saw nobody walking away. So it's just, you know, there's a lot of weird feeling going on, like, surrounding this whole situation. I remember Craig then lighting the area up, and we could see something in the tree moving. So we were thinking there was something there. What is that?
Was there a bag hanging in the tree that was going like this in the wind?
A bag or a balloon.
Something,
balloon,
yeah.
We saw something moving. Was there a bag and a horse?
Potentially. I'm not sure, but I remember something being in the tree, which did look like a bag or...
Well, it was kind of moving like this. Like, not so perfect, but it was kind of like, you know, and we're watching him, we're like, what is that? And I remember, like, we're all like, what's going on? Like, what are we staring at here? There's literally something, like, moving so much. And realised after, I think, I don't know if Craig mentioned, he said it looked like a Halloween decoration. It turned out, I think Sylvia's right, there was a bag caught in the tree, which caught our attention. That wasn't the pair of legs that I saw, though. They were on the ground. This bag was higher, obviously a little bit higher up, and then after this we could see something else moving, and we're watching, and as your eyes adjusted, we realised it was actually the white part of a horse's nose, like the white part of the fur off the brown, and it was that, as it was turning its head like that, it was that moving, and we realised there's horses standing there looking at us. Maybe there was somebody coming to tend to the horses, maybe somebody's trying to steal the horses, I don't know, but all I do know is that this person was no longer there.
They're by that tree with the gun now. See that thing moving? Yeah. Definitely someone there, Joss.
You sure?
I'm positive. You see him, Sylvia? Oh.
Wait, up and down.
That's not... What is it? Oh, how'd you stop?
Yeah.
That scares me now.
Is it some floating? Hello? That's some Halloween crap though, is it?
Is it? Yeah.
Can we go have a look?
I'm more than sure I've just seen two people, you know.
Yeah, let's get back there.
One thing we failed to mention was the hay. So we heard a loud crashing sound as well.
Oh yeah, we were looking around like the
That big tall barn.
yeah. Just trying to think about it, to be honest.
I remember it, we were still by that tractor and everything, because it was a motorbike.
Was that before you seen people, or was it after?
I think it was, might have been after. But we were looking in the barn, and we heard this loud crashing sound. When we went back out of the barn, there was a pile of the hay.
I remember, I was like, no way, the hay fallen.
Yeah, it was like a bale of the hay that was now lying in that path. So we're thinking, has that just fallen from the top of there? Somebody pushed it. I was convinced somebody was up there, I'll be honest. After seeing the people, so yeah, it was after, I remember now, after seeing the people and then seeing the hay on the floor, I was thinking some people are here and they're messing with us now.
Because I'd also played that gig.
I think
Come running in and I'm staying here with people. Some farmers. Some farmers' boots.
Don't forget, Sylwia. All the stuff that's hanging on the side there, there could be anything banging inside.
Look, I've got something hit the floor there.
I'll go have a look in a minute.
No, it's not that. My voice got something really on my head.
Yeah. Too many horror films, Sylwia. I warned you about that.
Yeah.
It's alright, we'll go back up
to the house.
I know.
The house looks...
Do you want to go first or second? What?
Only until we checked the footage later on and realized the hay has not moved. The hay was always on the floor.
Yeah, so we had no explanation for that loud crashing sound.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Isn't it then when we realized there's horses in the field, we can't see anybody any further.
We just carried on, didn't we?
Yeah.
So yeah, we just pretty much carried on with the exploring. Made our way back from that part of the barns and what have you to back towards the house. This house, again, it was ridiculously massive. Like, it looked way oversized. The windows looked too small for the building from what I can remember.
It looked like a horror movie, to be honest.
Yeah,
Scary looking.
It did. It looked like it was about 10 stories high as well, but with one window on the side. It was just so many bricks. I've never seen that many bricks on a building. It was huge. Further down from that, there was some more little garage barns, weren't there? Inside there, we found like 3 cars, didn't we?
I know, they were covered in dust.
Yeah, because I remember there being like an old, I think it was an old Maestro.
I don't
Top of
know.
my head, an old Rover, and then like a Ford Fiesta maybe.
I really don't know. I'm not good with cars. When we were in the garage with them cars,
Yeah.
did we hear dogs barking?
Yeah, I think we could hear dogs barking, which again, people in the local area might use the fields behind the farm as kind of like a
Dog walking
area, because it was straight through. There was like the gate to the farm, a gate between 2 parts of the farm, and then a gate to the field. So it's like one big long path with 3 gates.
It wasn't inaccessible.
Yeah, and it wasn't kind of like impossible for somebody to be walking dogs through there. So there's a good chance that's what it's been used for at times. We heard these dogs, so we came out and we're looking and we're listening and we're thinking, can't hear anything now. But of course, it's a big open area. The sound of dogs can travel, and you feel kind of exposed. And I think that place, you just kind of felt watched as well.
Yeah, I believe the reason why is there was barns, there was buildings around. You don't know who's where. There could be someone watching you and you don't even know.
If a tractor makes them marks on the ground and then they don't get driven on first aid,
They'll stay, won't they?
Well, they stay, yeah. Another car in here as well. Nissan Sun.
Is that caravan or...
I don't know, you know, shine your light down. Mine's not bright enough.
That looks good. Is it to you?
Hold on, no, it's not a caravan. It's fucking hay bales on a trailer.
Caravan?
Put your torch down it. Look, it's like a caravan. Oh, there's 2 cars. There's another one over there.
Hey?
Another one, Fiesta. this isn't in this one, so I want what car this is. It's a Rover.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's a Rover from outside, to be fair.
But I don't know what make it is. Oh, there's a badge for a Rover badge. Old Rover badge. The Viking ship.
So we are at this point outside the barn. We just getting adjusted to the sounds around us.
You guys both said you heard a cough. I didn't hear it the first time. You guys both said, did you hear that? Yeah, we stood out, we were all whispering, completely in silence. We turned all the lights off. Then, we all heard it, didn't we?
It was very loud. Like old men's, like... yeah, like yours more than mine. But yeah, it was very, very loud.
Yeah, and we all stopped, didn't we? Yeah, we all like, I heard it that time.
Yeah.
And then we all we went, didn't we? We rushed off.
It almost felt like whoever was there, if anyone, they were trying to get rid of us.
Keep in mind where this farm is, there's nothing else around. There's nothing for probably up to a good mile, and then there's the start of the village. There is a house next to the farm. The house was also abandoned, but it was completely sealed up and for sale. We buy the car, we feel a bit more safer because we've got our safety here. We can get in the car and we can drive away. Me and you were stood by the car. Then we could hear cars, couldn't we? We could hear the sound of a car approaching.
Probably.
Yeah, and I remember us hearing the sound of a car approaching, and we stood looking. Nothing came. We decided, let's just go. Let's just go drive away. So we all got in the car, left that night, and we drove away. We stopped outside the abandoned house, which was just around the corner.
I am more than sure before we actually drove away, we were sitting in the car watching because we seen a light approaching us, but nothing ever came. I remember still being inside the car.
Some people turned up.
And somebody turned up, yeah.
Two lads got out, didn't they? Did they have a dog with them?
They were saying they were looking for a dog.
Oh, okay.
I remember they were saying they were looking for a dog, but they came to explore the place or something like this. They were saying that they explored the place for quite a few times now, but this time they came to look for the dog.
I was with them guys, talking to them.
Potentially.
They was. I remembered the car lights approaching because you can see slightly downhill and the road goes round. I think it goes over a motorway. And then there's like a cattle grid, and then the village starts. The lad said that he lived nearby, and there is somebody that drives up here like this. There was some, I can't quite remember the full story, but something about this person, and he'd seen it before and witnessed it before.
Was there someone blocking you in at the very end of the road?
I think so, something like that.
Yeah.
People can be so strange. So yeah, we're watching this car approach. And then as it went behind where there would have been bushes, we wouldn't have been able to see it any longer. We saw it coming over the cattle grid, over the bridge for the motorway, and then it stopped. There's only that one road. There's no roads off there, and it comes to us, which is a dead end. We never saw the lights again. We never saw the lights driving away. We never saw the car.
It is weird. The whole night had a very weird feeling. Almost like something was trying to play with us.
Yeah, the whole time we were there, I felt on edge. There was a nasty feeling in the air.
Yeah, it wasn't very nice, to be honest. Like, you go some places and you actually can get lost in them.
Yeah.
But you don't feel as much on edge as over there.
There was a dark cloud over that farm. I don't know the story, why it's abandoned. I assume the family had just died and moved on. But there was a very, very strong feeling around that place, like a strong presence. And to this day, I believe I saw somebody.
It did feel like there was somebody there, especially with the fact that there was a bang and it sounded like something being thrown from height to the floor.
Yeah, that's why we thought
the hay.
We came out, we saw the hay, and we're like, no way.
Because as well, it was quite loud. And you can't explain why it would be so loud.
But as well, we mentioned the hay being very grey and dry because we saw the hay on the floor there. That bit wasn't as bad, was it? It was still quite damp inside.
On some side, yeah.
And bit that was facing up now was like still quite hay coloured.
It is weird. As we said, you're more than sure you've seen somebody. We heard something being thrown, which we thought it was a hay. We heard dogs barking. We heard somebody coughing.
The coughing, and I mean, it happened twice.
Yeah.
And when I heard it, it was very close. I feel scared to go back there. I do. I don't know what the place looks like now. We did attempt to go back again, and there was a tractor in the farmyard. And then somebody turned up. It was daytime. The tractor was left there. Nobody was around it.
I remember somebody was looking after animals or something.
Yeah, we'd seen like there was stuff moved. The cars had all gone. There was a big tractor. It was like a new Massey Ferguson, big red thing in the courtyard, parked next to the JCB. You could see that people had been now using that land. As we left, this pickup truck pulled up next to us. There was a guy in there, and we were like, he's like, what are you doing? And we're like, sorry, we've just been looking. I thought the farm was abandoned. And he's like, no. And we're like, yeah, no worries, we're just leaving anyway. And that's how that altercation went. And we went on and thought maybe someone's brought the land, or maybe it is the farmer nearby now using it.
You can see farms not being touched. They're being left and nothing happening.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you go back there a year, 18 months later, and things change. You can see people working on there. But what I don't understand, if you purchase a farm, why wouldn't you make sure the farm looks used at all the times? Why would you allow the building to look the way it does?
Yeah, they secure it.
Yeah, secure it. Because at the same time, if somebody is using that land, they claiming as theirs. For example, we go there, we got them on a video, they claiming this is their land. But we know of somebody who actually went in their house, broken their leg. Will they take the responsibility for that?
Yeah, exactly. Probably not.
Don't say this is owned by you if it's not, or make sure you do it properly.
I suppose it just kind of gets rid of the person at the time, doesn't it? And that's their intention, but they don't think about that side of it. It's one of the scariest places I've been, and it wasn't that scary. Like nothing physically happened.
No.
We didn't go there for an investigation. We went there for exploring. It was night time. We saw. Well, I thought I'd seen somebody. We heard the banging sounds we had. There's explanations, of course. There's ways to debunk this. That could have been anything. It might be a complete coincidence that something's been balanced on a ledge for 15 years and it just fell that night. I'm not going to say that everything that night was paranormal, but it certainly was scary. There was the feeling that you can't shift. That's number one. The coughing was extremely close. It was almost like one of us had coughed.
Yeah.
You know, there was nobody around. We've been there for over an hour.
The thing is, we've been in locations before now where we heard coughs, we heard whistles, we heard somebody even saying hello to us, and it does sound like the person is just right here.
That's how you get people's attention.
Yeah.
You capture whistles. Sometimes you don't hear the whistles until you're editing the footage, but we've picked up whistles. There's been times where you've heard these little noises. So it's not you know, stupid to think that could be legit. But I strongly believe
There's more to it.
there's more to that place. Yeah, it's such a scary place. Okay guys, so we're going to end that video here. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to drop a like down below and subscribe if you are new. But yeah, this is just our story about somewhere that we visited quite a few years ago. Believe it or not, I've actually tried to record this video numerous times. I wanted it to be a little bit different than just setting record and sitting there talking. But in the meantime, guys, again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.